Friends of Airtable, welcome to another video. Today about automating document creation. Document creation can be difficult in Airtable, especially if you want to include line items. And today I want to introduce a tool to you, actually a tool I've developed myself that will make that super easy for you. So let's get started. So let's get started by looking at our data. My goal here is to write invoices, automatically generate invoices out of my customer data. This is of course not real data. These are not real humans. This is just random sample data. So I have names and invoice numbers and emails and addresses and my dates, my invoice dates, as well as a service period. Then I want to include a due date in my template, and I want to give the subtotal, some VAT, and the total. So pretty straightforward customer data that we are working with. The tool I want to introduce to you, here you can see myself actually, is DocsAutomator. DocsAutomator will take your Airtable data and turn it into Google Docs and PDF. So first it's going to create a Google Doc out of your data, and then it will print a PDF back to Airtable and send it back to Airtable. For document creation, we need a template. And the template is created in Google Docs. I have one created here already to be a bit faster, of course, for this demo. So my company is Automation Mania Inc. And I have my invoice template here. So at the top, I'm including all my client data. And then I have my invoice date, the service date, my invoice number, a due date, and a line items table. So a dynamic table of line items. If we quickly go back to our Airtable data, under line items, you see that I have a linked table to line items. You have a bunch of products, obviously, as you can see, not real products, just some sample data as well, just for demo purposes. But I've connected these line items to my invoices. Because I have this connected table, I can actually print a dynamically long list of line items on my invoice. The subtotal VAT and total invoice amount, of course, is calculated based on the line items that are linked here. So I have a subtotal, which is a roll-up. If we go into this quickly, I have a roll-up of all the totals from the line items table. Then I calculate my VAT based on that subtotal and just add subtotal and VAT to get my total. So we have our data, we have our template. Let's look at DocsAutomator in order to combine the data and the template. If you go to DocsAutomator.co, you will have the option to sign up and log in here in the corner. I have signed up before, so this takes me right away to the DocsAutomator backend. If you're here for the first time, you will have to connect your accounts under settings. So give permissions to your Google account for Google Docs and Google Drive, and give permissions to the Airtable bases that you want to work with. What we do then is we create a new recipe. An automation recipe connects your Airtable data and your Google Doc template. So if I click on this, I can give this a name. Let's do it very straightforward, invoice. And then here on the left side, we have to select the base that our data is coming from. In our case, as you can see here, it's the invoice base. So I go to my bases, I select invoice base. This is going to load my tables. In my base, I have two tables, invoices and line items. So here we select our main table, which is the invoices table. Then we need to give our template. We have created our template here already. We go to the URL, we copy that one, and we paste the URL. If we do that, a couple of things change down here. It basically loads all the placeholder fields we have defined in our template. Additionally, what we get here is the link table for line items. Because DocsAutomator realized that we are trying to add line items here, it asks us to add the linked table for those line items. In our case, the linked table for line items is called line items. So that's the table we are selecting here for printing the dynamic list of line items. Last thing we can set up here is the local settings. I'm just pretending that I want this in the United States now and formatted according to United States formats. So number formats like the currencies, and dates will be formatted like you're used to in the United States. But if you're in another region, you can also select that region here as well. Let's go to the field mapping, where we basically map our data fields to the placeholders. The first thing we have to say is, okay, how is the document called, right? So we have to select one of our fields in our table as the document name. I'm just going to go here with invoice number, straightforward, but you could call this anything you want. You just take a formula field in Airtable and you build some name. I mean, you could even create a new field and call it document name and then have a separate field where you just format your name in whichever way you want. And then we have to say where our PDF shall be stored. In our case, this is an attachment field which is called invoice PDF. If I go to Airtable, we can see this attachment field here. And then we're down to the field mapping itself. So we have text fields and line item fields. Text fields is everything except for the line items. And I'm just gonna connect these names here quickly. Let's call this last name. I have an invoice date. I have a service period. I have a street, zip. I have my city, country, invoice number, due date, subtotal, VAT, and the total. And then for line item fields, this actually references the line items table, so is giving us the options in the line items table, these fields in the line items table. So I'm going to use the product here, then amount, unit, and total. So now we've mapped everything. Now we've mapped our data to the document placeholders, and I can click on save in order to save my config here. Next step is we have to initiate the document creation in Airtable, and we do that with a script, and we have two options. We can use a scripting extension or an automation script. The difference between those two is that scripting extensions live under extensions in Airtable and have to be initiated by the user, whereas automation scripts run in the background under automations and are triggered by something. So this could be a status changed, or something is created, like a record is created. Like, these are all the triggers we can select, and then we would run that script once the trigger fires. First thing we want to do is a scripting extension. So let's go to extensions. Let's add an extension, and we have to select scripting. We add that. We get our scripting block, and we simply copy this and paste it here. That's it. We have the reference to our table already in there. We have our API key already in there. We have everything we need, basically. And now I can start creating documents. I click on run. I can pick a record. Let's pick the first one. This is going to initiate the script. And if all goes well, it's going to print our PDF into this attachment field. Let's give it another moment. And there it is. There's our PDF. And as we can see, we have all our data in here. I think there's something missing here. So probably some data that just isn't present there. But as you can see, the rest has been filled out. That's one way of how to initiate the scripting extension, is by clicking run. The other one would be just to say create invoice button. You can call this create invoice, and buttons can initiate scripts. So if I connect this script here and I click here, I would get the same thing. This passes the record reference, the record ID, to the script, and There's our second PDF also printed here. Now let's go to automations. This is this tab here in DocsAutomator and this script. Automations have to be triggered, as I said before. So in our case, let's use this checkbox. Obviously, usually you want no user input, no direct user input, more something that runs in the background, like some condition changed or like a status changed, as I said before, anything like that that triggers the automation. But just for demo purposes, let's use the checkbox in order to do it. But this would run with any trigger. Would also run from interfaces. If you have a button in interfaces in Airtable, this could also trigger an automation. So let's create a new automation, and we say when record matches conditions, because we want to match the condition that our create invoice checkbox is checked, and then we run a script. And in here, we take the script from DocsAutomator, we paste it in. And now we have to do one more thing, because we don't really get our record reference right away. We have to select it first under input variables. So I go here, I go to add input variable. I have to make sure that I call this exactly the same, because this is the variable name, rec ID. And then I just select Airtable record ID. And this is now passing the reference to the record ID or to the record that has triggered this automation. Of course, if you want to use more input variables, you would do this a bit differently, because you wouldn't call this right away like this. So this only works if you really only pass that one input variable. We go on finish editing. We can turn this on. And then if we create some invoices here, we can go back to automations and we can see that all of these started running. They're now in progress. And this should do exactly the same if all goes well. Should, in the end, print our PDFs. Takes a little while. And there, the first one comes. And the other ones as well. And now we also have like a zip code here. And that's it. That's how easy it is to create documents with line items from Airtable in Google Docs and as PDF. If you need help with setting up or you have questions, let me know in the comments below or reach out to me personally. I'm always there to help, always also happy to help with integration. And for now, wish you happy automating and speak to you soon.